Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing my reading plans for 2020 and books that I really want to get to that I didn't get the chance to get to this year. So let's just get right into the video. Also, I just cut 9 inches off my hair yesterday and I still don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I look like Lord Farquaad or something, but you know, everyone else seems to like it. So I guess I just gotta roll with it. So let's get right into the video. So the first 3 books I'm going to talk about are books that came out this year that are new releases that I really wanted to get my hands on and read this year, but I didn't get the chance to. So I'll probably be reading these ones in the beginning of early next year. And the first one is The Institute by Stephen King. The premise of this one sounded really interesting and I've actually never read a Stephen King, so I was really interested to read this one. So I picked it up on Black Friday for 50% off and I got it for like 15 bucks and it's normally 30. So yeah, I really want to get to this one. It's quite a hefty book, so hopefully I can get to it within the first few months of the year. So the next new release is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, and this was a new release that I was really excited for, and I had this on my November TBR, but I didn't get to read as many books as I would have liked to in November because I started a new job, so I can't really read as many books as I normally do. And this one is quite a big one. It's about 500 or so pages, so I didn't get the chance to get to this one, but I'm super excited about it because it's a witch marries a witch hunter story and it just sounds exactly up my alley, and I've heard so many good things about this, so I'm really excited to get to this one, and I'm really sad I didn't get to it this year. So the last new release that I'm really sad that I didn't get around to this year is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro. And I actually got this as my book of the month pick and I believe September, and it's been on my TBRs since September and I just never got around to reading it. I think I got like 28 pages in or something like that, and I just have not gotten around to finishing it because other books keep like bumping this one into the dust. So hopefully within the first few months of the year I will be able to read this one. It seems really interesting. It's got portal fantasy and I just really want to read it. So yeah. So the next group of books I'm going to show you are books that are on my physical TBR that have just been sitting on my shelf for a while and that I would really like to get to next year. And the first one is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and this one is a classic and I really want to read it. And I picked this up at the thrift store a little while ago and I just have not gotten the chance to read it yet, so hopefully I will get the chance to this year. This next one is also a classic that I would love to get to next year, and it is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This is a really weird like mass market paperback. Like, it's such a weird size, but I really love the cover. It's so creepy and I don't know, I love it so much. So I really hope I can get to this one because it is a classic and I do want to say that I have read at least some of the classics. So yeah, hopefully I can get to this one next year. The next book I would like to read next year is In the Land of Invisible Women, A Female Doctor's Journey in the Saudi Kingdom by Wanta A. Ahmed. I can't really pronounce that because I'm not really good at it, but I really wanted to read this book. I picked it up at the thrift store. It sounded really interesting. It's about a doctor who is kind of not seen as credible because she's a woman in Saudi Arabia, and she got her degree in, I believe, Great Britain. So I really wanted to read this because it just sounded really interesting and like a really powerful story. So hopefully next year I can get to this one. It's quite a big book, so hopefully I can get to it. So yeah. This next book is a modern classic that I would really love to get to, and that is The Help by Catherine Stockett. Everyone has either talked about this book or seen the movie or both, and just this was talked about a lot a few years ago and I just never got around to reading it or watching the movie or anything like that. So I'm really interested to read it and hopefully I can get to it next year. This next book doesn't have a dust jacket, but it's The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith, and I actually got a little ways into this book, but it's really hard for me to read because it has a couple of triggers that just really bother me that I haven't been able to get past, so it's been a little bit difficult for me to read it. But I really would like to finish this book because a lot of people say really good things about it. I didn't DNF it because it's objectively bad, just because it has some triggers that are kind of, you know, wary for me. So hopefully I can get past that and finish the book next year. This next book is Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein, and this is a, I believe, either historical fiction or I don't know if this is fiction or not, but it is about like a secret train during like World War II or something, I think. I can't really remember 100% what it was about, but I remember really wanting to read this when I picked it up, and I heard really good things about it. And normally I tend to like historical fiction, so I picked this one up, and I really would like to get to it by next year. This next book has been on my TBR, I believe, since August, and that is Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage, or Zoja Stage. I don't really know which one it is, but this one is a thriller. I hauled this in my last video, and I really want to read it because I heard it has like orphan Omen vibes, and I would really love to read it. It's not super long, so I feel like this one is really doable. And like I mentioned before, I'm really starting to get into more thrillers, so I would really like to read this one. This next book is also a thriller, and it's Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, and I read Girl on the Train this year in October, so I really wanted to read her other novel, Into the Water, and see if I would like it. I really feel myself reading this one because, like I said, I've been wanting to get into more thrillers, and you know, when books kind of go slow for me, it's nice to pick up a thriller and have something fast-paced and suspenseful that I can just really easily get into. So yeah, I'd really love to read Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. This next book is actually a sequel / companion novel, and that is Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, and this is the second book in the To Kill a Mockingbird series thing, duology, whatever you want to call it. And this follows the main character Scout many years later when she goes back to her hometown, and I would really love to read this one, and I found it at Barnes & Noble for like $6, so I thought, why not? And hopefully I like it. I really like the cover. It's very simple but also very pretty. And yeah, I'd really just love to get to this one next year, since I did read To Kill a Mockingbird again in September. This book is one that I've already read, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is actually a new copy that I just picked up. I hauled it in my last video, so if you haven't seen that already, I'll link it in the description down below. But basically, I really want to start collecting editions of Wuthering Heights because there's so many different gorgeous editions of this book, and I love this book so much, and I gave it 5 stars. I read it in September, but I would really like to read this book at least once a year because of how much I enjoy it, and just because it's a book that you can read over and over again because there's so many like layers to it. So yeah, I would really love to read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte again, and hopefully I can make it an annual thing. This next book I've already read before, but I'd really like to read it again, and that is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Next year I actually would love to read all of John Green's work. I've read Looking for Alaska recently, and I would really like to read The Fault in Our Stars, Turtles All the Way Down, and Abundance of Catherines, and really just all of his work. I really enjoy John Green's work. But yeah, this is basically symbolic of all of John Green's books, which I would like to read / reread next year. So hopefully that will happen for me. So the next and last 4 books I'm going to be showing you are actually symbolic of their respective series. And the first one is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor, and this is obviously representative of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I really would love to read. I've heard amazing things about Laini Taylor's work, and I would really love to give it a try. I love a good fantasy book, and I actually found this one at my local Dollar Tree for only $1, and it's the 3rd novel, so obviously I'd have to get the other 2. But I am really interested to read this series, and you can't really beat a big paperback for $1. So yeah, I'd really love to read this series. The next series that I would love to read next year is the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan, and I reread the Percy Jackson series in October, and I would really love to read the Heroes of Olympus series next year. My sister's lending me out her collection of the series, so I would really love to read it. And I'm just really interested to get back to Camp Half-Blood, get back to that series. So yeah, I would really love to read this within next year. The next series I keep telling myself I'm going to read, and I just have not yet, and this is the 2nd book in the series, but this is the Darkest Minds series, and these are actually my sister's books that she's lending out to me because she really wanted me to read the series. I don't know where the first one is. I have the first 3 back at my house, but I just don't know where the first one is, so I'm going to be using the second one to symbolize the series. But yeah, I've heard really great things about this series, and I would just really love to read it. It's kind of daunting because, you know, all the books are like pretty sizable, but you know, I would really love to read this series. I heard really great things about it, and I love fantasy, so I'd really like to read it. This next series, I'm not 100% sure if I 100% want to read it again, and that is the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, and I actually picked up the entire set of books from the thrift store for like $4, so I really wanted to reread it and see what I thought of it years later. But anyways, I heard that the Divergent series gets worse as it goes on, and I honestly can't remember anything about it because I read it when it first came out when I was like 12 or something like that, and I really just don't remember anything about it. So hopefully this will be good. I'm really nervous that it won't be as good as I remember it being. So yeah, I would really like to reread the Divergent series sometime this year. Last book I'm going to show you, and it's actually one I forgot about. It's a book that I would like to reread, and it's a classic, and it is none other than The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read this in high school, and I really would like to read it again because all of the things I read in high school I don't really remember too much about, so I'd really like to reread them, and I picked up this copy at the thrift store. So yeah, I'd really love to reread this one. It's a classic. I remember really liking it. I also liked the movie adaptation. So yeah, hopefully I can reread this within the next year. Maybe I'll read like a classic every month or something like that. But yeah, so I think that concludes the books that I would like to read in 2020. I've got quite a hefty TBR, and I also have the obsessive habit of planning my TBR months in advance and not including any of the books that have been on my TBR for like 6 months. So hopefully I will get to all these books. This video is basically me holding myself accountable for all of the books that I have not read that are on my physical TBR that are screaming at me to be read. So hopefully I will stop reading so many new releases and just read some of the books that are collecting dust on my TBR as we speak. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload, and leave a comment down below and let me know what your reading plans are for 2020 or some books that you would love to get to next year. So have a great day. Bye!